For the second use and abuse section of this month, I wanted to show you the slimline storm poles from Cygnet, and these are a product that I've had for a very long time. I think 5 or 6 years, but it might be a little bit less. Either way, I've had them a long time and I've used them a hell of a lot as well. I own 2 sets of these. These are 36 inches long and my other set are 24 inches long. And between those 2 sets, they cater for everything I would need them to do. And a lot of you will probably think that a storm pole is just something you attach to your bivvy in case of a storm to stop it blowing away. But for me, I use these for lots of other things as well, you know, not just keeping my bivvy nice and stable. That is, of course, one of the times I'll use them, and in which case I choose the longer ones for that. And I also use the longer ones for the washing line trick, something I do a lot at this time of year and throughout the summer months, and a very neat little way of presenting rigs. You know, whop the pole in the ground, clip your line under it, and away you go. And you'll see at the top there, I've put elastic bands and hair bands on the top of the poles, and that's where my line is going to be tucked underneath, you know. So a nice long pole, digs in the ground, prop them up as high as I can, stick my line under there, and that enables me to do the washing line trick perfectly. And aside from that, a more normal use is just putting my rods about the lake. You know, at this time of year, particularly in the spring, I'm quite often having a rod in a gap here and a gap there, or one rod in that swim, rod another, rod through a reed bed. You know, the fish are starting to get about the lake, and I like to be able to move around and follow them. And having a set of storm poles as your bank sticks does make your life much easier when it comes to putting rods in peculiar places. And like I've said, that's something I like to do a lot. So this time of year, in the spring in particular, I'm chod fishing and I'm using my storm poles as my bank sticks. And like I say, I've got 2 different sets. I generally use the shorter ones for the fronts where the buzzers are, but if I want to put a rod out in the lake, you know, I can switch over to these long ones, no problem. The thing is that between the 2 sets of poles that I've got, I can do everything I need to do with them. At the top of the storm poles, you'll see these metal torque screws, they're called, and these are an extra addition that you have to purchase separately. As standard, they come with these little black knobs, but I've took one of those off, just replaced it with the nice stainless ones, just to make tightening them up a little bit easier. But the thing that made me want to show you guys these was the price and the performance combined. Like I've said, I don't look after my kit, and the fact that these have lasted me so long is testament, you know, especially when you spend a lot of time out in the water. And if anything's going to damage a product, you know, it is that sort of thing, sat in water for long periods of time. And they've been great. They are just a storm pole, don't get me wrong, but the great thing about them is, aside from their performance, is the price. £9 for the shortest one and £13 for the biggest one. That's good money, especially when they don't break, you know. So if you want an 18-inch pole, it's going to cost you £9. If you want the largest pole, which is 42 inches, it's going to cost you about 13. And there's other sizes in between. I think they do an 18, a 24, a 36 and a 42, if I remember rightly. They're the sizes they do. And another nice thing about these poles, and one worry, especially when you're using storm poles as bank sticks, and especially when you're using 6 poles at a time, that's a lot of added weight most of the time. You know, throughout the winter you may have been using your normal bank sticks or whatever. If you've then got to switch to 6 storm poles, it's very, very heavy. And the beauty of these is they're actually very light. So great value for money, nice and light, and I've not managed to break them yet.